Good evening, everybody. Hello. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's council meeting. It is 6 p.m. on February 17th. The mayor is attending remotely. However, if he feels it's appropriate to have the meeting chaired by somebody in person, that person is me. I'm Paul Mayo, council president. I'd like to inform council I will be voting on agenda items. We'll start the meeting out with the Pledge of Allegiance. Barb, would you please read the open meeting statement?
Sure. This meeting and all meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
Thank you, Barb. Would you please take roll?
Mayor Smith,
Here.
Colin Dykstra,
Here.
Paul Hagan,
Here.
Eric Halverson,
Here.
Dimitri Martin,
Here.
Paul Mayo,
Here.
Corey Nagel,
Here.
Eric Olson,
Here.
Dave Peterson,
Here.
Scott Perchatsky,
Here.
Henry Veliker.
Here.
10 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Would you like to start the staff introductions, Barb?
Sure. Barb Nowak, City Clerk.
Josh Finch, City Administrator. Matt Klatt, Airport Manager.
Eric Bailey, Library Director.
Juliana Stoes, Community and Economic Development Director.
Stephanie Reif, Finance Director.
Justin Behrens, Director of Public Works.
Laura Colbert, Parks and Rec Director.
Pete Krager, Chief of Police.
And I believe we have Josh Warner in the control room manning the cameras. Next up, we have the consent agenda. This is a collection of items that we vote on with one vote. If anybody has one of these items that they'd like removed from the consent agenda and move to the regular agenda, now is the time to make the request. Anything? Okay, I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Olson, second by Dykstra to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, we have the regular agenda. Barb did have one distribution volunteer Waupaca kickoff, which I think Laura's going to talk about in her department report. Other than that, there's nothing new. So I need a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Peterson, second by who? Martin. To approve the regular agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, we have announcements and correspondence, which we have none, and public input. If anybody would like to speak on a non-agenda item, please go to the podium, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Anybody? Okay, we'll move on. Community and department head reports. First up, we have Dan Wolfgram is reporting on Fine Arts Festival for Waupaca Area Arts and Cultural Network. Dan.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to first thank the members of the City Council for entertaining this opportunity. I'd like to thank the Waupaca Arts and Area Culture Network, of which the Waupaca Fine Arts Festival is a proud member of. Hello, Mayor. Nice to see you again. And I used to be on City Council a number of years ago, so I appreciate all the work that you do. And again, I appreciate the fact that Waupaca City and the greater area is committed to the arts. And I'm here tonight to tell you a little bit about our organization. The Waupaca Fine Arts Festival has existed in this community for 63 years. We are the longest standing arts organization, and we are oftentimes confused with other arts organizations that are present in this town, which we think is a wonderful opportunity to have. When you have more than one thriving arts organization in town, you can tell that there is commitment, not only from the members that are seated here this evening, but also by the community. I also like to think that Aaron Jensen, as I recall his words from the Arts Summit several years ago, is that the arts in this community is really a calling card. And what we do for the community enriches the lives of everyday citizens and also beckons more people to come here, whether that be for our events, whether that be to live. I know that over 33 years ago when I first came to this community, I saw the thriving arts community at that time. And ever since then, I have hung my shingle here and very proud to be a member of this community. The Waupaca Fine Arts Festival is supported by a number of different events that we sponsor throughout the year. I'm going to quickly highlight some of the things that we've done thus far this year and some things that you can anticipate. The 12 Days of Christmas Cabaret. This was some holiday entertainment with seasonal music, desserts, and coffee, December 5th through 6th out at the Waupaca Country Club. We were sold out, and it was wonderful to take place there and enjoy the holiday season. It was part of the whole Yuletide Festival of the Waupaca Area Arts and Culture Network. The second event that is coming up later this month is The Odd Couple. And The Odd Couple has a twist. This is the female version. So for those of you that remember the good old television show with, Felix Unger and Oscar Madison, played by Jack Klugman and Tony Randall. Wow, I had to dig deep for that one. Had to work hard. The gray matter's not done yet. So this is going to be staged, as you can see from some of our advertising, at the Gerald Opera House in Waupaca. We think this is a wonderful opportunity to, again, bring notice to what Waupaca has to offer by going to an offshoot in another community and staging a play there. So we're excited. That's going to be February 27th, 28th at 7 p.m., and February 28th and March 1st at 2 p.m. Also, coming up, I'm just heading on my way to the community chorus rehearsal. We've been in rehearsal since January. I've been the conductor and member of that for over 30 years. We are staging a semi-quincentennial concert featuring patriotic songs of America. I am conducting this on Sunday, April 26th at 2:30 p.m. at the Waupaca High School Performing Arts Center. During these challenging times, I wanted to make it noted to this council as well as to the community that this selection of music and collaboration is really meant to be a coming together of the people of Waupaca in song, as well as we have members from Wild Rose, Stevens Point, Appleton, New London, Amherst, and the orchestra reaches far and wide as well. So we are on the map in our greater surrounding area, probably a 90-mile radius where we are looking to draw our audience from. But again, I want to feature this because we are in such a divisive time in our country. I offer up a music selection that is eclectic and encompassing every aspect of America. And I hope that we sell out and that you're able to join us, because it's going to be a fantastic celebration. Also, coming up later in April, the Waupaca Art Show has been around for as long as we've been in existence. It hails down at the Danes home, 301 North Main Street. The dates of that, again, are going to be April 18th through the 22nd. Also, coming up in our agenda this year is the Waupaca Community Children's Theater, July 16th, 17th, and 18th. We are doing Elf Jr. So if you're familiar with the movie Elf, you can have a little Christmas time in the summer. Going to be directed by Emma Ives, July 16th at 6 p.m., July 17th at 3 p.m., July 18th at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. at the Waupaca Middle School Kniffel Auditorium. And finally, we're rounding out our season this year with the Waupaca Community Theater, our main stage production of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. It is the Broadway version, directed by Justin Schilling. And for all of our events, you can always visit our webpage. I'm going to tip my hat just a little bit. We're working on one additional project that we haven't officially gone public with yet. Our main three legs of our organization are the community choir, the art show, and the theater. I've thought for a long time, since I used to be the director of choral activities here in Waupaca for a long time, that the one thing that this community is missing is an orchestra, a full-time orchestra, something that we can hang our hat on, no singing, just strings, and as we augment. So I'm currently working with people behind the scenes, and we're tentatively looking at launching this effort in September and October of this fall. So it's not part of our official festival season, but once we're able to solidify things up, we are definitely looking at showcasing this and hopefully making it the fourth leg of the Waupaca Fine Arts Festival and make it an annual event. And we invite any string players, any orchestra members that have not approached me. You can always ring me up and let me know if you'd like to be part of the orchestra. Thank you for your time. Do you have any questions about our organization, what we do, our scope of influence? I'd take anything. then I will see you on Sunday, April 26th at the Community Choir Concert, celebrating our community in song and unity at our semi-quincentennial concert. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Next, we have the Waupaca Area Fire Department Annual Report from Jake Waller, Fire Chief. Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. The Waupaca Area Fire District is pleased to present our 2025 annual report, which starts on page 76 in your packet, I believe. 2025 at a glance, just a 3,000-foot view here. We did respond to 361 total incidents, an increase of just under 10% from 2024. We had 0 firefighter injuries and fatalities. Okay, Siri wants to talk. We did train. We logged 1,543 hours throughout 2025. We did inspect 799 commercial buildings in and around the area. We had a total property and content loss of 49,030. That's just an average guess. So 361 calls, and we lost less than $50,000. That's pretty good. Some of you might drive a car that's worth more than that. Our average response time, it's one of the ones I kind of kick on. We are a volunteer department. I am the only full-time member, and we cover 146 square miles in our district. From the time we get paged to the time our first unit is on scene is 11 minutes. Again, that takes all of our mutual aid calls that we're responding to, Waupaca, New London, that factors all that time in there. So I think that's pretty good for a volunteer department to respond and be at your door in just under 11 minutes. If you go to page 84 in the book, it talks about our accountability, our operations readiness, and the fiscal responsibility of our department. Moving forward on page 86, talks about fire inspections. We have 6 full-time inspectors that go out and try to get into every commercial building. Some are easier than others. But again, 799 fire inspections were completed in 2025. That's up 148 inspections in 2024. So again, I'm the only full-time member, so the other 5 I have are doing this on their own time after their work hours. So kudos to those guys that are volunteering their time to get those done and keep our community as safe as they can. Page 87 through 89 talks about our training. Again, we talked about the total hours. That's an average about 46.5 hours per member on our department that they come down and train twice a month on Mondays. Training focuses on SCBA proficiency, trying to get in their SCBA with their gear on air in under 2 minutes. Wildland firefighting, extrication training, high-low angle rescue, driver operator certification, hazmat training, and mutual aid coordination, working with other departments in the area. Page 90 talks about safety and risk management. Again, we were on the road 361 times, 0 fireground firefighter injuries, along with 0 vehicle accidents. So we go lights and sirens probably 90% of the time. That's an inconvenience to the public. So people trying to get out of the way, we're trying to go around them. We have a kind of operations that we run, but again, we can't determine what the people are going to do in front of us. So 361 calls, 0 vehicle accidents. We pride on safety. Ongoing injury prevention, exposure monitoring, advanced PPE and equipment upgrades to make it easier to move on the firegrounds, and active safety division oversight. Page 91 and 92 talks about public education. We did get involved in 23 community events, mostly tied to the city of Waupaca. We had 100+ hours dedicated to fire prevention and education. Fire Prevention Week throughout the schools is the first week in October. That's a huge, successful event for us. We reached around 350 students this year, which that number is up a little bit. And we did partner with the Waupaca County Public Health in the fall. They offered free carbon monoxide detectors to residents if they had an issue. We responded. If it was a faulty detector, we gave them a free one. Didn't cost them a dime. So it's great for public health to get involved with the local fire departments. Page 93 to 106 is our emergency response overview. Talks about the different types of calls we've had, and it kind of breaks down the numbers so you can understand them. We did do 91 rescue EMS calls. False alarms and false calls were 76. Good intent calls were 64. Hazardous conditions, no fires, were 61, and then fire incidents were 45. 107 and 109 talks about the total personnel responding. So we had 2,945 check-ins from our members. That's averaging just over 8 firefighters a call. Again, some of those are dispatch canceled en route, but they're still coming into town doing their thing. In there, it talks geographically, all the bar graphs and the circle graphs. The city of Waupaca, out of those 361 calls, we responded to 154 in just the city. That is broke down in there of what calls were called in the city. But the next closest township was the town of Farmington with 86 calls. We did respond 22 times out of our jurisdiction for mutual aid. So that's again going to Waupaca, New London, Ogdensburg, Iola, Scandinavia, giving our neighbors the assistance that they do need. We had 2 mutual aids given that came to us. One was the gas leak that we had on North Street back in January, where we evacuated a couple hundred people. And then we ultimately had a grass fire at the end of January 30th last year, where we needed some water. As we may or may not have been totally prepared for wildland season in January. Page 109, we actively participate in the Wisconsin MABUS Division of 142, and there's a list of all the departments that are in our division right there on the screen. That's about all for that. And then our equipment is on page 111 and 115. It's got 3 engines, an aerial truck, heavy rescue, 2 tenders, a brush truck, a drone, and a command vehicle. 2025 equipment additions, if you keep scrolling down, we bought some electric chainsaws, safety lighting systems for the guys that go on their helmets, and some extra lighting for our command vehicle. We did not receive any grants in 2025. We did receive a DNR grant in 2026 for some new pumps for our grass rigs. Department strikes and certifications. Like I said, we have 1 full-time member, that is myself. I have 32 volunteer members. 17 of them are firefighter 2 certified, 15 of them are firefighter 1 certified, 21 are hazmat operations certified, 11 are fire inspectors. I have 13 driver operators and 9 driver operators of the aerial. So if you see any of those guys in the picture, please thank them for their dedication. Again, our call volume keeps going up and they keep responding to those calls. So if you see any of them or know any of them, please reach out and say thank you. That's all it takes sometimes. We did have 1 retirement. Fire Chief Gerald Duman retired in January after 30 years of service. And we did lose 2 lifetime members. Doug Nielsen passed away in early February, and Jerry Joe Hanknet passed away in, I think, October. Doug had 26 years on the department. Jerry had 37 years on the department. The district always honors their legacy of service. They started it for us, and we're just taking it from there. So we always try to include our retirees and our lifetime members. In closing, 2025 with the Waupaca Fire District, we managed the increased call volume, maintained 0 firefighter fireground injuries, strengthened our training and certification levels, completed nearly 800 inspections. We preserved property with limited total fire loss, and continued responsible fiscal operations, and strengthen our regional partners by mutual aid, probably averaging 2 a month. And that is all I have for the 3,000-foot view of the fire district in 2025. I'll take any questions if anybody has any. All right,
Thanks, Chief.
thank you.
I'll give you one.
Yeah, fire away.
More of a statement.
Yeah.
This appears to say that you have almost an incident every day to take care of, on average.
On average.
And with 32 people, you get there in 11 minutes every day of the year.
Yep.
Okay, keep it up. Way to go.
Yeah. So just to put it in perspective, 2026, we were averaging 1 call a day. I think it's day 47 or 48 of the month, and we are right there at it. So we had 4 calls just the other night. So starting at 2 in the afternoon, and our last call was at 2:45 in the morning. And I have trucks out the door at any time of the day. So I'm very, very fortunate to the crew that I have underneath me. They work hard. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to department head reports, and we'll start with Matt. Keep it
Thanks. I
brief,
would
please.
ask that the presentation by Kaufman take the place of my department head report tonight.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Eric.
All right, the library report starts on page 4 of your packet. On March 30th and 31st, we're going to have the new operable partition, the moving wall. Replacement will be installed in the lower level meeting rooms, so very excited that we've got that very important, very necessary bit of work scheduled. We do have a survey for long-range planning underway. I'm hoping that some of you have seen the posters up or seen that on our website or social media. If not, please, please, please take a look. We would love to get your feedback. Would love to get feedback from anybody and everybody here in the room right now. Looking ahead, we are leaning into training on our new integrated library system. That'll be the new software that we'll be transitioning to come this fall. We do have a local library conference that we will be closing for on March 6th so that all staff can attend. And lastly, I am happy to report that as the director, I am attending a course on library security, training for the worst case and everyday scenarios as my continuing education this spring. Those are the highlights from the library. I am happy to field any questions. Otherwise, I'll turn things over to Juliana.
Okay, you're up.
Thanks. To kick off the update for the Community and Economic Development Department, we have some great updates to share in terms of developments. In the River North subdivision, 3 of the 6 homes that are in this first phase are already listed, and we have seen significant progress in framing for an additional 2 of those homes. You can also see updated marketing materials on the developer's webpage for the River North subdivision, and we'd encourage you to share that with anyone who you think may be interested. They can look at information about the various available layouts that the developer is making available within the first phase. We are working with a variety of new businesses to get new signage and get everything up to snuff, both in terms of building permits and zoning approvals, including 3 new downtown businesses working with our office at this time. We've also issued building permits in the month of January for the new AutoZone store that will be opening on West Fulton Street. I also wanted to share a couple of updates on our team and current staffing. As we've mentioned, our residential building inspector, Brian Bunke, retired in January. During the interim, we have a temporary part-time residential building inspector, Elizabeth Racine, who was actually Brian's predecessor in that role prior to taking on a position with the city of Greenville. So we're very grateful for her assistance during this interim period where she's helping to ensure that plan reviews and inspections take place as we're approaching a busy spring season. And we've already gotten our first new home building permit request. I also wanted to talk a little bit about our continued recruitment strategy as we're continuing to recruit for a full-time permanent position to fill that vacancy for the residential building inspector. We are now recruiting at 2 levels simultaneously to give ourselves flexibility as we continue to try to fill that crucial role. We're still recruiting for a certified applicant at the building inspector 1 level, but we've also posted for an entry-level code enforcement specialist position that allows us to review applications from individuals who have relevant experience but may not hold all of the required certifications to perform at the level of a residential building inspector. That person would then be offered the opportunity to pursue their certification and to work with certified building inspectors while they are pursuing their certification. And that's all from my department.
Thanks, Juliana. Any questions for Juliana? Okay, Stephanie.
Thank you. Just continuing to work on the audit. I have very much progress on this, and they will be on site the week of March 23rd for their field days, and that is a long week with them, but I'm excited. I always learn a lot when they're here, and they're a great team to work with, so have that coming up. And just want to give a shout out to my team. Kate has been working with our insurance HR team to build some better layout of our employee handbook. And we're kind of working through that with our personnel team to see, or our personnel committee to see if we will be going through with any of that, but just some early discussions on how we can make that better. And Shelley has been researching some opportunities to add efficiencies to our customer payment process. So that's all for mine.
Thanks, Stephanie. Any questions for Stephanie? Okay, Justin, you're up.
Thank you. My update's on page 36 and 37 of the packet. First and foremost, starting with the wastewater, we have a new discharge permit that will be applied from the Wisconsin DNR starting April 1st. Leading up to this point, we knew about it, and as staff, we met with the DNR a number of times to discuss and review the changes. What we know is going to be happening is an increase in the total amount of tests we'll have to do each year. So we're going to see an increase to our maintenance budget, and we'll have to that'll be applied and shown at budget season in the following years. We're going to be put on a schedule for phosphorus compliance, so our phosphorus regulations will become much more restrictive, meaning we have to reduce the amount of phosphorus that we release into the river. The schedule, as I'm talking about, is multiple years where we'll have to do some testing, we'll have to do some report findings, some feasibility studies, and then eventually have to apply potentially an improvement to the treatment plant. And ultimately that would show up in a long-term capital plan, but now is just kind of the heads up of the upcoming changes that are going to happen with that. PFAS testing is also included in that. It's largely monitoring and reporting at this point, so that as everybody's kind of aware, like that's kind of the next coming forefront focus for environmental awareness. Sludge reporting will increase, so every year we'll have to submit or create and submit a report to the DNR. So that's addition effort to our staff members. That is something that we've been talking about, working on for a number of years. So, like I said, the changes are expected to be applied on April 1st. On February 19th, 2 days from now, the DNR will put a public notice out there of this pending change. It's standard process with everyone. It gives the opportunity for the public to review and comment on it if they would like to do so. So outside of that, we'll start making these changes and working on it. And obviously we've had discussions at Water and Sewer Board, and we'll continue working on those things in the future. Our sewer televising, it just wrapped up actually today. So we televise a number of sewers throughout the city, so we're pre-planning for future projects. We expect to see a report by the end of the month, and obviously we'll work off of that and start working on road projects and lateral replacements, depending on what we see with that report. Street side, it is pothole season. With the freeze and thaw that's happening almost every day, those things are showing up. We're diligently trying to fill those potholes, and as they happen and people see them, obviously we take those comments and we do take that feedback and we try to address that right away. So we're also trimming trees at the moment. So anytime any branch that hangs over the public right of way, even if it is not our tree, we do trim. So our trees within the public right of way, we trim those up to get them away from the sidewalks and of course away from the driving lanes. And then we do have the ability and right to trim private trees if they overhang. So just a heads up that you'll see the guys out there trimming on those. They've all been trained by arborists. We've gone through a number of different trainings so that we do this right without hurting the trees too much. Water side, we had 17 properties that had running water. So some were due to our side of the lines being too shallow, and some were to the private side being too shallow. So we still have frost in the ground, everyone, even though we had 2 days of 50-degree weather. It's still there. So the people that had those issues should continue to do it until they hear otherwise from the water utility. Speaking of our wastewater board, we did approve a contract where we are cleaning our water towers. So this is on a 5-year cycle with the DNR, or a regulation, excuse me, from the DNR. We have to inspect and clean the inside of all 3 of our towers. We also clean the outside of those at the same time. So the board approved awarding that to Water Tower Clean and Coat for an amount not to exceed $18,700. They've done this work the last 2 times, I could say for sure. Facility side, we hired a new custodian for City Hall Library. One had to resign because of health issues, so we hired a new one. So that new custodian is being brought on board today. We had several issues with the boilers right across the hall here, so that was even during the cold snap and more recently. Kind of like a nuisance alarm and fault, so we did some routine diagnosis, and we think things are fine, but just a heads up. The one boiler back here is original to or both of them, I should say, original to the building from '97, so they're getting up there in age. Fulton and PED project. So Fulton Street, we had a design review meeting with Strand. Those plans are progressing very well. We're talking about setting up for another future public information meeting. So we're putting the materials together. Obviously, Strand is working diligently on putting the design plans together. We need a little more time. We need to put a few more things together, but we will be scheduling a public meeting looking at probably this summer. The PED Bridge, which is a year after that, Laura and I have been working on that. It's been a lot of fun because we've got a lot of positive comments from the people that we've been meeting with. So our most recent one was with Bank First, and things are still going well. So we're expecting 3D renderings very soon from architecture. Thanks, Laura. And once we get those and we're able to distribute those, we'll obviously be throwing those out there to the public and getting more comments on those. So Elm Street, Elm Street is done with the exception of our water main crossing at Holbeck. That had to be put on hold because we had issues with getting that new water main underneath the railroad. That is back on schedule, and that'll be starting up by the end of the month. So it's good news to finally get that rolling again. That is it.
Thanks, Justin. Any questions for Justin? Okay, Laura.
Thank you. You can find my report on page 38 and 39. I would just like to discuss Winter Rec Fest for a second. It went extremely well. We had it on Saturday. I don't know if we can ever call it Winter Rec Fest again. It should just be maybe Rec Fest or just Fest, because we invite lots of other collaborators such as the library, the Historical Society. We had somebody that was ice fishing helping us out. It is just an awesome collaborative event. Lots of volunteers. So we're very thankful, and also to our chili restaurants who provided chili. We had 4 delicious chilies this year, and they all won one of the categories, so it worked out great. Coming up, we have our winter hike, which is held out at Shambo Park and the train depot, and you can go into the Woodpile Wildlife Refuge area that has additional 3.6 miles to hike. So if you come with ready to drink some hot chocolate or tea, and we've got a bonfire and s'mores, and then lots of hiking opportunities. We just distributed our spring and summer program guide a week and a half ago, and that opened up this Monday. So anybody who's interested in joining any spring and summer programs, please sign up. Our playground program is already almost full, as well as our after summer school adventure. We are adding some new opportunities this year, such as kayaking in collaboration with Adventure Outfitters. So the kayaking opportunities can be on the Upper Chain or the Waupaca River. And we are offering them for adults, and we also have a kids paddling opportunity on the Waupaca River. So we're excited about that collaboration. And we extended our playground program from 3 to 4 weeks so that we can help our families out this summer when school is not in session. To reference the document that you have sitting in front of you, the Volunteer Waupaca Kickoff, This has been an awesome collaborative opportunity between the library, Rotary, UW Extension, and the Chamber of Commerce and Parks and Rec. We have been working behind the scenes to develop some sort of volunteer database for the Waupaca area because it doesn't really exist. There's volunteer Fox Cities, there's volunteer Brown County, but we wanted something more specific to us. And so we've been working with volunteer Fox Cities to create a web page specifically for the city of Waupaca. And we've notified many nonprofits who we've asked to come to one or the other kickoff session that you can see on this document. I apologize, in my memo, I have February 16th and February 23rd. It is February 24th, not the 23rd. If you know of any nonprofits who utilize volunteers, this is an incredible opportunity for them to come and learn more about how to sign their nonprofits up. Once we have nonprofits in the system, then we will have a volunteer kickoff celebration in which we invite volunteers to sign up. And then this website acts as a matchmaker. So if you're interested in volunteering to work with seniors, you can say that, and then you can find volunteer opportunities with seniors. Or if you want to work outside and help with the parks, you can designate that as an interest level that you want to look into. So more information to come. The Volunteer Waupaca webpage has not quite gone live, but it will very soon. And like I said, these organizations such as Parks and Rec, we've already signed up, can do that now, and they'll get designated into the Volunteer Waupaca based on our zip code and county. And then another really exciting opportunity that we as city staff are working on is the Teal Trail. So if you go to the top of page 39, you can see the diagram here. What we would like to do is create a loop within the city center. This loop will take you to 5 different city parks in a 1.33 mile loop. And we will work on designating where to go and put symbols out there very similar to the Ice Age Trail, but they'll be teal in color. And so you can see as you walk where to go next, just like you do on the Ice Age Trail. And then we'll have some "You Are Here" signs, and working really closely with Justin on this. We might beautify the road crossings. There's just a lot of opportunities to create a really fun walking path through the city for both residents and visitors, and highlight 5 of our beautiful parks. And that is my report.
Thank you, Laura. Any questions for Laura? Colin? Yep.
So to talk more about your volunteer organization,
Sure.
it sounds like you're looking for both people that want to volunteer and people that need volunteers.
Yes.
And you could probably, so for an organization maybe like the triathlon, they say, hey, we need volunteers. They're on one side of it. And people that want to volunteer are on the other side, and you're trying to meet those needs together.
That's exactly right. Yep. So the triathlon was actually at the meeting on the 16th, and hopefully they'll put their organization into this website so that when we ask the volunteers to come and sign up, they can find that as an opportunity.
Can an organization be both a volunteer and somebody who's looking for volunteers?
I think the volunteers are more individually based, but I could certainly sign up as a volunteer as well as a Parks and Rec organization.
Understood. Okay, thanks.
You bet.
Right. Anybody else?
Colin,
Oh, go ahead.
I really want to thank the staff and the other collaborators, because this has been a challenge for decades to have some central location to, go for to help our organization. So this is a real hats off for the groups. I think it's great.
If I may, Rotary has also dedicated funds to help offset the cost of organizations to sign up. So we're very grateful for Rotary for doing that as well.
All right. Chief Krager.
Thank you. My memo can be found on page 43 and 44 of your packets. During the month of January, the police department responded to 619 calls for service. 66 traffic stops were conducted, which resulted in 74 citations and 51 warnings. A total of 17 referrals for criminal charges were referred to the district attorney's office. I'm happy to report that our onboarding process for our new parking system is we're going through that process right now, and hopefully we'll have that up and running by the end of March. As previously talked about in the police and fire commission meetings and in front of council. Our current system is outdated and not supported, so if the software would crash tomorrow, it would have a large impact on how we operate negatively. So I'm happy to report that's moving forward. I also want to thank Josh and Steph, because there is some cross onboarding that's crossing into their departments, and they've been great to work with and have helped out quite a bit as we bring this to the city. The new system will also create a more efficient process in how we issue parking citations, receive payments, and it will also allow us to change how we permit for our city lots. So there's definitely some good advantages to moving to the system other than the update as well. Waupaca Police Department, we're an active member of the Wisconsin Internet Crimes Against Children, so the ICAC Task Force. Over this past year, we have supported and provided training to one of our officers to conduct these types of investigations with the goal to locate, track, and capture individuals exploiting children through the internet. One of our more recent investigations resulted in a gentleman coming to the city thinking he was communicating with an underage person, ended up being our officer, and we were able to effect an arrest without incident. This is something, as a department, we have never conducted this type of investigation, and I'm looking forward to continuing to do this and being active in the task force that's throughout the state of Wisconsin. Two other, higher involved cases over this last month. We executed a drug search warrant in the city of Waupaca. I had mentioned last month about our involvement with the Central Wisconsin Drug Task Force and that grant that we're going for. So this is another example of using or having the task force available to us to assist us in the city when it comes time to execute a warrant. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of people involved. So that partnership continues to be a positive partnership and resulted in a pretty substantial amount of methamphetamine and marijuana and 3 arrests. Also, speaking more of the collaborativeness that we do with other agencies, third incident that I can speak to is we were involved in a SWAT call-out. As I've mentioned in the past, we have 3 Waupaca police officers involved with the countywide SWAT team. The SWAT team is comprised of Waupaca PD, New London, Clintonville, Marion, Iola police departments, along with the county sheriff's office and the Wisconsin State Patrol. They had an incident in the county, and it was a positive result as far as getting the person in custody without anybody injured. And there had been a female victim that was in a bad position. We were able to get her out of that environment and provide her some services to get her some help. All 3 of those incidents, a press release was conducted, given out to our local media, and then also posted on our Facebook page. On a lighter note, this Friday we'll be hosting a coffee with a cop event at Starbucks. So I encourage everyone to come on out. 7 to 9 will be there for a free brewed coffee and a chat. If you have questions, it's a great environment to interact with law enforcement and ask questions if you have any. And we sporadically do this throughout the community, and Starbucks was chosen this time, and they graciously accepted our offer to be there. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Chief. Any questions for the Chief? Great, Josh.
So I'm in the middle of this year's computer rotation. So each year a different department gets replaced with new computers, and we rotate things around. This year it's the police department. Wrapping that up this week, those computers will get rotated to a secondary role, and then the ones those are replacing are usually end of life. Some keep as spares, some make their way out. If you've been on the city website recently, you've noticed a fresh look on there. Looks a little different. I'm working on going page by page and making sure all of our content is up to date as well. Just overdue to get a fresh look on there. We've been with the same theme for quite a while. And then the other big part of the website refresh, in about a year, municipalities our size have new ADA requirements we have to meet for any digital and online content we put out there. So part of how the website looks now is keeping those new standards in mind. There's everything with making sure images are tagged, contrast between text and the background so it's easily readable, and a number of other things. So I've been making sure our website is headed in that direction. It's through the work I've been doing, we're getting there. There's still a little more to do, and this extends on to social media and other things. So I've been learning more about it, and then we shared some information at the department head meeting today to start getting the other departments informed that, hey, in a year we've got more we have to do with everything we put out there. I'm working with a company called Spyglass. We've used them twice in the past. They do telecommunications billing audits, and I've engaged with them, or they reached out to me because it's been a while, and I've given them all of our information. They're going to review all of our telecommunications bills, make sure there aren't any services we're being billed for that we don't have anymore, which I know isn't the case because there's been a lot of changes recently. But they look for all sorts of stuff. They make sure we're paying the best rates. They make sure there aren't any miscellaneous fees or taxes on the bills we shouldn't be paying. And they only receive payment from us if they present some findings, and we also make changes based on those. So if they come back and we don't find anything, or the things they find aren't things we want to change, then we don't owe them anything. So it's low risk, and maybe they find us a couple bucks worth of savings. Our agreement with Spectrum for our fiber internet service is up this September, and we just have kind of been staying with them for about the past 10 years. Ralph and I had discussion and felt it was time to take a fresh look what's out there, because it's been a while. There are two providers that natively come into the building, Spectrum and AT&T, but those lines can also be leased and used by third-party providers. So we're just kind of feeling that out, learning more about it, and seeing if there's something more better cost for us, or if staying with Spectrum or AT&T is a better option. And then finally, we are taking a closer look at our licensing and permitting software. We've been with SmartGov, I want to say, about 5 years. And there's mixed perception on that with staff. Some people like it, some aren't big fans of it, and we had discussion about that. A lot of the staff that are using it now were not here when we procured the system, so they weren't part of that process. They didn't see what else was out there. And there's also been some advancements and changes, and there's some new vendors out there. And kind of as a group off that discussion, we decided, let's see what's out there. Let's demo a couple systems, maybe not with the goal that we're going to change for sure, but to give everyone a fresh look. Our current provider that we purchase or have SmartGov through, Granicus, has increased the price, and it's going to be going up about 10% every year going forward. So that was another reason we had that discussion. Do we want to see that perpetual price increase? Do we want to see if there's something more favorable? The result of this might be at some point in the next year or two considering another system, or we might stay put where we are, but we're investing some time to make sure we've got something that works well for staff and the public. And that's all I've got.
Thanks, Josh. Any questions for Josh? Okay, Barb.
Thanks, Paul. My report can be found on page 47. I worked with Bomar on getting the mobile home lottery credits updated and sent out to all of the owners of those premises. And we sent out the tax exempt reports to all of the properties. It has to be sent out every 2 years, and then that report is due by March 31st. We set up training for the election workers. We have 2 trainings set up March 4th in the morning and March 5th in the afternoon. We have about 20 workers signed up, or 20 poll workers signed up for the training, and they won't be able to work an election unless they have the training, and then that'll be good for the 2 years that they were voted in for, or approved for, I should say. And that's about it.
Thanks, Barb. Any questions for Barb? Or Josh?
My report can be found on page 48 and 49. I'm very excited that next week, Wednesday, I will be presenting to Rotary, talking about a little bit about myself as well as city initiatives and whatnot. So I'm very excited about that opportunity. Continued conversations with the Friends of the Commandant's House Executive Committee. There is a hope that a MOU can be signed and finalized here in the next month or so. So I'll keep you guys posted as we move forward with that. And talking about triathlon, thank you, Colin, for bringing that up. I am serving with the folks on the board for the triathlon, and we are desperately in need of volunteers for the organization as well as the operations of it. So if you are interested, let me know. But we are really excited about hitting the ground running here. We've got a lot of irons in the fire and trying to get that sorted out as we're moving into the springtime. It's going to be here before you know it. And to really highlight that this is, the 25th year, so that's a really big endeavor for us as a community as well as for the triathlon. It's a great event, and I know that everybody that's involved with the planning process and everybody in the community, I'm sure, is very excited about being able to hit that 25th. I had the opportunity I think it was last week, to be able to meet with Corey and the folks with the youth on board. That was a really great opportunity to get to interact with the students from the high school and kind of hear where they're at with the partnership with the school, as well as with the committees, and hearing their take was very insightful. And it's obviously really important to be able to continue engagement with youth, to getting them wanting to be more involved. And it definitely sounded like there were a couple of them that might have interest in staying involved after high school in some fashion. So let's hope for that. That civic engagement is very, very important. I will be attending the WCMA conference here later next week. So I'm excited about that, being able to connect with other administrators from around the state. That'll be taking place in Oshkosh. So I'm very excited to be able to head into some continuing educational credits. For those that don't know, I am pursuing my credentialed manager certification. So that is part of the ongoing realm to obtain and sustain that certification. So very excited to be able to continue that pursuit. And I think that's everything.
Thank you, Josh. Any questions for Josh? Okay, we'll move on. We have no unfinished business. Under new business, the first item is Airport Master Plan presentation by Kaufman Associates. I'm assuming they're here.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. All right. Again, I'm Tyler Stuber, representing Kaufman Associates. I'm also joined by Mike Dimitrico, also with Kaufman, and Brandon Herbert from Strand Associates, our project team member on the Airport Master Plan. And tonight, I'm here to give you a brief overview of the Airport Master Plan that we've been working on the past year and a half or so. Again, I'll try to keep this brief. As you can see, it's quite the document. But I do encourage you to read it if you want to know what's going on out at the airport. Okay. Real quickly, an Airport Master Plan is a long-term planning document for the airport, similar to how a city would do a master plan. Only for the airport, we also look at it through the lens of the FAA and airport planning and design standards that should be adhered to. We do have a strict master plan process that the FAA prescribes, and there's a few key outcomes that we must have as a result of this document. And I'll touch on some of those key outcomes in just a moment. But we did have some public outreach efforts as part of the study. We had a project website that we would upload all of the draft materials to, that anyone could download and read in its entirety if they desired to. We established a planning advisory committee, which I do see a few familiar faces here, that consisted of city staff, airport management, as well as other airport stakeholders. And we would break regularly throughout the master planning process to take in any feedback, and they acted as essentially a steering committee or a sounding board to help guide us as we developed this document. And then towards the latter stages of the master plan, we did have 2 public information workshops. For any of the public that were concerned or interested with what's going on out at the airport, they could come and talk with us. We would explain to them the master plan and what the future holds for the airport. And here we are for our city council. So a few of the key outcomes are aviation demand forecasts, the critical aircraft, the long-term recommended development concept, a capital improvement program that coincides with that development concept, and an airport layout plan drawing set. Two of these key outcomes are approved by the BOA, or will be approved by the BOA, which is the Bureau of Aeronautics for the state of Wisconsin. But Wisconsin is somewhat of a unique state in that the Bureau of Aeronautics acts as the FAA or in lieu of the FAA, so I may use that term somewhat interchangeably. But the aviation demand forecasts and the airport layout plan drawing set will be approved by the BOA. We have submitted the aviation demand forecasts in the fall of 2024. We looked at two key demand metrics at the airport centered around aircraft operations, which is a takeoff and a landing, and based aircraft. Here's an exhibit from the report. As you can see, we used a base year of 2024. We estimated approximately 18,000 operations occurring at the airport over the course of that year, and we're projecting upwards of 23,000 operations by the end of our 20-year planning time horizon, 2044 rather. For based aircraft, there were 49 based airplanes at the airfield in 2024. I believe they surpassed that at this point, but we do project upwards of 66 based airplanes by the end of 2044. A key component of the forecast element is the establishment of the airport's critical aircraft. What that is essentially the largest airplane that operates at the airport on a regular basis. The FAA defines regular basis as 500 times a year. So with that, within that grouping of aircraft, we can assign a runway design code to each runway. The primary runway, the existing runway design code, we identified as a B2, and for the crosswind runway, a B1 small. And what this does is there are safety area design standards prescribed by the FAA that coincide with these runway design codes. As you can see in the existing condition, these are your safety areas coinciding with each runway. In the ultimate condition, we do see I don't want to say a need, but an opportunity for the airport to grow to that larger C2 design category. And throughout the course of the study, we also went through a whole machination of different facility requirements and alternative layouts, and throughout the course of that, eventually made the decision to decouple the two runways for safety reasons and convert the crosswind runway to a turf runway. So that's why you see that. Runway 1331 ultimately will be a turf runway under an A1 visual runway design code. Here we have the long-term recommended development concept. Under that ultimate C2 condition for the primary runway, A1 visual for the crosswind, and we do lay out a multitude of runway and taxiway development projects, as well as the potential for a substantial amount of hangar development. Any questions before I move on? I know there's a lot. Okay. So one of the final key outcomes of the master planning process is a long-term capital improvement program for the airport. And when we set these up, generally we will identify projects that are eligible for AIP or Airport Improvement Program funding from the FAA. And these projects can be funded at up to 90% federal funding. And then the state of Wisconsin has a program that will kick in an additional 5%, and the remaining 5% falls to the airport sponsor. So it truly is 5 cents on the dollar for these projects that we have outlined here, and a true asset to the airport. There are also a slew of other funding mechanisms that come into play on the local side that can help ease the local portion of that funding burden. To go through a few numbers specifically, in the short term, we have these broken up into a short, intermediate, and long term. The short term being the first 5 years, the intermediate term being the next 5 years of that 20-year planning horizon, and then the long term consists of the remaining 10 years. So in the short term, we're showing an estimated total cost of $4.1 million, with roughly 2.9 million of that coming from the FAA as part of AIP grant funding. And that would bring the local share of that to just over $1.1 million. And again, there are other funding mechanisms that are being used to help ease that local funding burden. Moving on to okay. So here we have a little staging exhibit that shows the projects that would coincide with that short term. For the intermediate term, we're showing a total project cost of almost $10 million, federal share of $8.9 million, and a local responsibility of just under $500,000. And again, here we have a graphic depiction of what that intermediate term would look like in terms of project staging. And for the long term, we're showing an estimated funding total, or estimated project cost rather, of $12.4 million, with a federal share of almost $11.2 million and a local funding share of $622,000. And again, that's the remaining build out of the long term to finish out that recommended development concept. And all total, we're showing a grand total of estimated project costs of $26.5 million. A federal share of that could be funded up to $23 million, and we're showing a local share of just over $2.2 million. Any questions before we talk about any next steps? Okay. So moving forward, we do ask that that the city take action on this document in some way, shape, or form, whether that be approval or resolution, adoption. But at some point in the future, we do ask that an action be taken on the document. At that point, we can then move forward with creating the airport layout plan drawing set Strand as the second half of this project. If you recall, that is also the second piece that will be approved by the BOA. Once we have local and federal approval, we can then combine everything into one single document, your final master plan we will deliver, and the city can then use that in terms of how, as a roadmap rather, in terms of how to grow the airport into the future. Any questions on any of that?
Henry.
Thanks for the report. Do you have a sense on how the federal money's flowing in to, the state of Wisconsin? Is it coming in as predicted a year or so ago? Are these funds going to be available in the short term, in the next 5 years?
So the funds are available. The question when we lay some of these projects out, obviously a lot of this is going to take beyond 20 years, but we do try to fit it into a 20-year box, if you will. A lot of times the question is the project justifiable to the BOA? So all of the projects that we're showing here are eligible, but you also have to justify it. So the funding may come in a little slower than what we have programmed here, I will say probably the short term is going to be our most accurate because airport management and the BOA and your engineer all work on an annual basis to complete a 5-year capital improvement program that gets updated every year. So this truly is a living document. I don't know if that answers your question at all, but
Anybody else? Okay, so Tyler, you're asking us to approve the document, not to spend $26 million.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, I want to make that clear because when you approve this document, it is not a guarantee on the city's behalf that this is what we're going to try to do as an airport. And likewise, on the BOA or the FAA side, when they approve your airport layout plan drawing set, it is not a guarantee that you'll receive the funding. It's simply an agreement between the airport and the FAA that we have a plan.
Okay, good, thanks. All right, anybody else? Okay, I'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve the airport master plan presented by Kaufman Associates.
I would make that motion.
Second.
Moved by Hagan, second by Veliker to approve the airport master plan presented by Kaufman Associates. Any more discussion?
I just think, you got to go through this process, and we're going to have this document to help us with budgeting.
Yep.
That would be the goal, right? To try to have it
As I
by
understand
the
it,
fall?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Barb, would you take a roll call?
Sure. Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Eric Halverson.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Okay, thank you, Tyler. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We really enjoyed working with the community. We appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Item 2 under new business is the City of Waupaca Community Survey Scope. Greg Groman.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mayor. Over the past several months, the Public Engagement Committee has been discussing how to best gather meaningful and reliable community input ahead of the city's 2026 strategic plan update. Out of that work came the attached scope before you tonight. We believe in the Public Engagement Committee that if we were going to update our strategic plan, that plan should be grounded in more than just anecdotal feedback from residents or from the residents that are most likely to share their feedback with us online, like on Facebook, or through online-only surveys that are not particularly statistically valid. So to provide a statistically valid and representative survey, the committee is recommending a mail-first random sample survey so that every household has an equal chance of being heard. That approach will allow us to measure resident satisfaction and community priorities with a known level of confidence. We're aiming for 95% confidence. At the same time, because we recognize that people who maybe are not invited to receive this survey may feel like they want to also share their feedback with us, we're also hoping to run a concurrent open online survey for anyone who wishes to provide feedback with us so that they may do so. Together, we believe these tools will give us both a statistically reliable data set that also has broad participation. The committee did evaluate a number of approaches and cost structures before recommending this methodology, and we believe this represents the best balance of statistical rigor and accessibility and cost. If you have any questions about the methodology and the survey instrument proposed, I'd be happy to answer those. You may remember that in 2023, when we first did our council strategic planning retreat, that Aaron Jensen put together a survey, and he distributed that as well. That was online only and had about 200 or so responses. The purpose of the mail-first strategy is that it's going to be engaging people maybe are not on Facebook, who are not online, or maybe who don't feel like they have a strong voice that they want to add. You know, we're going to be targeting a true broad cross section of the Waupaca community. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. Otherwise, I would be looking for council to authorize this scope.
Questions for Greg? Okay, I'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve the community survey scope presented by Greg.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Moved by Olson, second by Veliker to approve of the City of Waupaca Community Survey Scope. Any more discussion? Barb, would you call the roll?
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Eric Halverson,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you, Barb.
Thank you, council.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. Item 3 is a condominium plat, Russ Young Properties LLC, Charles Wright Drive. Juliana.
Thank you. This is for a 0.7 acre property at the corner of Charles Wright Drive and the undeveloped Duck Lake Drive in the southwest portion of the city. This is for a 3-unit condominium plat, which consists of 1 single-family dwelling and 1 duplex. The condominium plat, once approved, would then need to go through the process of submitting a new home building permit and residential site plan application, the combination, to ensure compliance with building and zoning requirements. The developer, Russ Young Properties LLC, would like to do so to allow them to break ground on these structures in March.
Thanks, Juliana. Any questions? Okay, I'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve the condominium plat from Russ Young Properties LLC, Charles Wright Drive.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Halverson, second by Dykstra, to approve the condominium plat Russ Young Properties LLC. Any more discussion? Barb, would you please call the roll?
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Eric Halverson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Corey Nagel.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you, Barb. Item 4 is license report number 1747, operators or bartenders licenses. Any issues, Barb?
No.
Okay. Need a motion and a second to approve license report number 1747.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Olson, seconded by Veliker to approve license report number 1747. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. We have no issues or projects discussion. And next up is communications and recommendations of the mayor. Mayor, you have the floor.
Thanks, Paul. I've been racking my brain to come up with something really smart to say, but all I can really say is Major League Baseball spring training is open, so go Brewers. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you. Go Brewers. I need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Moved by Hagan, second by Olson. We adjourn until our next regular council meeting on Tuesday, March 3rd, subject to call. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. We're adjourned at 7:14. Thank you all.
See ya.